Hello everyone, Razorblade Mango here. So, I firmly believe that all gamers have a mental or literal list of dream games. Games they would be ecstatic to see come to fruition and be really good. Some of the dream games on my list include an HD remaster of my beloved Radiata stories, a sequel to Bloodborne, and a Sly Cooper revival, to name a few. For almost 4 years now, one of these dream games involves one of PlayStation's rising star mascots, Astrobot. For almost 4 years now, I have imagined what a large-scale, non-VR Astrobot 3D platformer would look like, and what I would personally want from it. And the reason this is one of my dream games is because I adored the last game in the Astrobot series, Astro's Playroom. And back in May, at the otherwise really mediocre state of play, my prayers were finally answered when Team Asobi came out and announced that they were indeed making Astrobot, the first big non-VR 3D platformer starring the little guy. And from what I saw in its debut trailer, Astrobot looks like everything I had hoped it would be and more. When Sony said no more major games were coming out this fiscal year, I call bullshit on that. I know what they really meant, but this is a major game to me. In fact, this is the game that I have waited this entire console generation for. The thing that I noticed immediately during that debut trailer was one of the things that immediately caught my eye about Astro's Playroom, which was the incredible and striking art direction and beautiful color palette that it seems to have. I think Astro's Playroom was one of the rare games that really impressed me on both a technical, raw graphical detail standpoint and an art direction standpoint. Because its scope is so narrow and focused, it allowed Team Asobi to really polish the graphics and really hone in on beautiful, just little things that they did not need to do, like lighting and shadow and reflections on little Astrobot's face, the color palette of the environment, just the blades of grass, the animations on the water when you dive into it, all of it just looks immaculate. And to me, when I watched this trailer, the standout level is that flamingo sky island with its pink trees and ponds filled with purple and pink flower petals, to the flamingos flying alongside you when you're gliding into the level. Oh, it looks so good. Oh my god. I love this level already, just visually. It's so pleasing to my eye. You know, focusing on the mechanics and the locations, there is, just from this trailer, there is a rich variety of things to do, from what it looks like from this trailer, from the little bits of gameplay that we got during Summer Games Fest. I love that studio head Nicolas Deshay said that they wanted to give the players a new experience every 10 minutes or so. That's great. That reminds me of one of my all-time favorite games, It Takes Two, where they just introduced fun mechanic after fun mechanic after fun mechanic and then just dropped them in favor of another thing. So it was always refreshing the experience, never making it boring, never making it feel samey. Some of the things that we've seen so far from the Astrobot footage look like they exist just for fun and whimsy, such as a water slide through a pyramid of inflated, multicolored balls. What mechanical gameplay purpose does this serve? It doesn't. It's there just to make you smile. And I love that. Things exist in this game just to be fucking fun. Love it. And another thing I'm really excited about with Astrobot is how it's going to utilize the controller. I think they really shot their wad early on with Astro's Playroom, because Astro's Playroom set the bar so high as far as what could be done with the DualSense controller that no other team has matched it. I think some have come close, like Gran Turismo 7 and A Plague Tale Innocence and Returnal, to name a few, but none of them have matched the amount of cool things, the amount of innovation that Team Asobi were able to pack into this controller and use it for Astro's Playroom. Just, I don't know how the wizards over there were able to simulate things like walking through sand, walking through grass, feeling hail as opposed to rain whenever those weather effects appear in the game. It's really outstanding. If you've never played Astro's Playroom, if you know anybody that has a PS5, I encourage you to go out and at least, maybe if you don't like the game itself, just experience what it can do with that controller, and you will be blown away. And another thing that I'm really excited about with Astrobot is that it seems to greatly expand upon the concept of this franchise as a celebration of PlayStation's legacy. And I know there's the case out there to be made that Astrobot's not really an exciting franchise because it leans a little too heavily into being a celebration of PlayStation's IP, that it can't really stand on its own as an IP. But I'm perfectly okay with Astrobot expanding upon the concept of celebrating PlayStation, because truth be told, I think Team Asobi care more about honoring PlayStation's past than PlayStation's themselves these days. And a big part of why Astro's Playroom was so impactful for me was because it was honoring PlayStation's past. And because I grew up as a PlayStation baby, it felt like a celebration of my history as a gamer. I mean, even beyond the noticeable in-house PlayStation IP, you had things in Astro's Playroom like references to Final Fantasy, Silent Hill, Tekken, and a lot more. And just from the little bit that I've seen with Astrobot, they're already making tons of references to things like Loco Roco and Bloodborne and Sly Cooper. I'm so excited to get back into this and see what weird little cameos they can fit into this game. I'm so excited to it from that perspective as well. My final point, this is exactly the type of game that PlayStation needs right now. This, not another big budget, lavishly produced, massive bloated single player action adventure third person over the shoulder camera kind of thing. Astrobot seems to continue the old spirit and flavor of Sony Japan that's been sorely lacking for years now. The spirit of the PS1 and the PS2 and the mid to late PS3 era. And it's also something different in a time where Sony seems all in on big bets and does not seem to care at all, for the most part, about smaller, riskier projects. And from a game development perspective, I think more games need to be developed this way at PlayStation. According to Duche, he said that Astrobot was made in about 3.5 years with a smaller team and budget. I think the number that he gave for the team was something like 60 people in-house worked on this. Astrobot is a game that doesn't cost an eye-watering $250 to $300 million to make. It didn't spend 5+ years in development, and it's bursting with new ideas and polish due to a smart and responsible scope and team management. Doesn't that sound great? Doesn't that sound much more exciting and sustainable than the average AAA game these days? And I would love more weird and wacky games from PlayStation like this, and also the upcoming LEGO Horizon Adventures as well. And I hope both of those do really well financially, so the higher-ups are encouraged to greenlight more games like them. To wrap it up, Astrobot is the most excited I've been about a game probably since Kingdom Hearts 3. It's usually against my better judgment to not temper my expectations, but I have total confidence that Astrobot will, at bare minimum, be a great game. And September 6th can't get here soon enough. Oh, and one final thing. Speaking of Kingdom Hearts, and this is me breaking from my notes actually, one of the major PlayStation icon omissions from Astro's Playroom was a Kingdom Hearts reference, because KH1 and 2 are seminal PS2 games. So if we could maybe rescue a bot with spiky hair holding a Keyblade in Astrobot, that would just be fantastic.